He repaired shoes in a village no one had heard of, pastored a church too poor to pay him, and taught himself languages in the scraps of time a working man could find. He had no seminary degree and no wealthy patron, and yet William Carey became known as the father of modern missions. William Carey was born on August 17, 1761, in the small English village of Pollersbury, Northamptonshire. The oldest of 5 children, he grew up in a modest home, the son of weavers. His father was later appointed the parish clerk and village schoolmaster, and young William showed early signs of a restless, hungry mind. He developed a skin allergy to sunlight, so his parents apprenticed him to a shoemaker to learn an indoor trade. It was there that William Carey met a fellow apprentice named John Warr. Warr was a Christian who could not match Carey argument for argument on matters of theology, but the quiet consistency of how he lived was something Carey could not dismiss. Carey had no answer for Warr's life. Warr's unanswerable witness broke through. And in 1779, at 17 years old, William Carey gave his life to Christ. He was baptized as a believer in 1783 and began to sense a call to preach. He pastored a village church in Moulton, Northamptonshire, that was later named Carey Baptist Church, where he also taught school and continued his trade as a shoemaker to keep his family fed. Largely self-educated, Carey was a voracious reader, teaching himself Latin, Greek, Hebrew, and Dutch largely on his own. His interest in missions was stimulated by reading accounts of Captain James Cook's explorations, and the life and diary of David Brainerd, published by Jonathan Edwards, left a permanent mark on him. What began as curiosity about foreign lands slowly became a burning spiritual conviction. The nations were perishing, and the church was doing nothing about it. Carey also found himself increasingly at odds with the dominant theology of his day, one that held God would save the elect without human help, and that the Great Commission required nothing of the church. He believed otherwise. He even brought that conviction to a meeting of Baptist ministers in 1785 and proposed it as a topic for discussion. An older pastor publicly rebuked him, dismissing him as a miserable enthusiast. The topic was dropped. But Carey could not be silenced. In May 1792, Carey published his treatise, An Enquiry into the Obligations of Christians to Use Means for the Conversion of the Heathens. Weeks later, he stood before the Northamptonshire Association and preached from Isaiah 54. His closing charge to the gathered ministers became one of the most famous sentences in the history of the church.
Expect great things from God. Attempt great things for God. I beseech you, brethren, examine.
At the conclusion of that sermon, the pastors of the Northamptonshire Association resolved to develop a society they named the Particular Baptist Society for Propagating the Gospel Among the Heathen, later shortened to the Baptist Missionary Society. All of the men were men of little means, so the sum they raised to start the society equated to about $23 in today's currency. Carey himself was too poor to even contribute. Instead, he would be one of its first missionaries. Before he sailed, he gathered with his closest friends and put it to them plainly that he would need their support. In what remains one of the most quoted exchanges in missionary history, his longtime friend and secretary of the newly formed Baptist Missionary Society, Andrew Fuller, remarked,
"It is clear that there is a rich mine of gold in India.
I will go down if you will hold the ropes."
In June of 1793, he went down. Carey, his wife Dorothy, her sister, and their 3 sons sailed to British India. The East India Company was opposed to mission work, so the missionaries had to secretly sail to India on a Dutch ship. The hardships came quickly. In the first year, Carey's 5-year-old son Peter died. His wife, Dorothy, began to show signs of mental illness, a condition that ultimately took her life in 1807. Then, the family's money was squandered by his fellow missionary, John Thomas. Yet, Carey pressed on. Despite passing through what he called his personal valley of the shadow of death, Carey translated the entire New Testament into Bengali in his first 5 years there, and was able to visit some 200 villages. In 1800, Carey relocated to the Danish colony of Serampore. He joined 2 new missionaries, Joshua Marshman, a gifted preacher, and William Ward, a printer. The 3 became known as the Serampore Trio. In December 1800, Carey baptized his first convert, Krishna Pal, 2 months later, his first Bengali New Testament was published. By 1809, the complete Bengali Bible was in print. Then came the fire. On March 11, 1812, a fire in the print shop caused massive damage, destroying irreplaceable manuscripts, including much of Carey's translation of Sanskrit literature and a polyglot dictionary that would have been a landmark work in linguistics. Years of labor, gone in a single night. Thankfully, the press and the type punches were saved. Churches in England and America sent an outpouring of support, and within 6 months, the mission was printing again. While appointed to teach Bengali, Sanskrit, and Marathi at Fort William College in Calcutta, Carey threw himself into one of the most ambitious translation projects in the history of the church. By the time his work was complete, he and his team had produced 36 Bible translations across the languages and dialects of Asia, among them Bengali, Oriya, Assamese, Sanskrit, Hindi, Marathi, Punjabi, and Sindhi. During his lifetime, his printing team produced and distributed more than 212,000 copies of the scriptures across the region. Beyond translation, Carey and his team planted over 25 churches and founded 125 schools. They organized medical missions and established India's first printing operation. In 1818, he founded Serampore College, primarily to train indigenous ministers. Carey was also a fierce critic of sati, the practice of widows being burned on their husbands' funeral pyres, and he labored persistently until the government outlawed it on December 4, 1829. He would never return to England. He gave 40 years to India and asked for nothing in return. William Carey died on June 9, 1834, in Serampore. He was 72 years old. At his own request, his grave marker bore no tribute to his accomplishments. Instead, it carried 2 lines from a hymn by Isaac Watts.
A wretched, poor, and helpless worm, on thy kind arms I fall.
When it came time for him to at last stand before God, he did not point to his Bibles, his schools, or his colleges. He came empty-handed, trusting only in grace. William Carey was a cobbler who chose to believe the Great Commission, a man who expected great things from God and attempted great things for God. In the summer of 1793, he went down into the mine shaft. More than 2 centuries later, the ropes are still holding, and the gold is still coming up.